praise to the Most High. So, Brother Mike, me and you was both right. And everything's going to happen at the same time. The scriptures say that the Maccabees will not happen, if you actually read it, until after the war. I believe the devil is going to push it as the war is happening, because he plans to come soon. He needs the war to pop off the Mr. J. Palladian King. Now, Brother Mike, you say that they work together. You're right. But I say they're enemies. And I'm right. So we're both right. And we're both wrong. So here's how this all works. Let me make sure this is actually recording. Good, it is. Here's how it all works. Okay, so the Palladian race, how can I say this? Were, or seems to be, the ones who made the Dracos. The Palladian race was the ones who conquered the Dracos before. You can't just say the Anunnaki, because both are Anunnaki. There's too many different sections of fallen angels which all fall under Anunnaki that are all different. And they all did choose a side. And they were fighting against each other. Now, because they want this utopia, which is going to be really for the Palladians to come down and rule the world like they used to, after they had got rid of the Draco like they did before. And of course the Draco has came back after the flood. The Draco came back. So now what's happened is that the Draco's time is up. And the Palladians seem to have beat the Dracos into the sense where they have had a meeting. And the meeting was about peace treaties and working together. So it's like me and you, Brother Mike, was both right. They seem to have agreed to work together to bring in this peace and harmony order, which is really the New World Order, meant for them so they can control man again. The Dracos would go back to being the servants and of these Palladians. And I found out, I did a little more digging, and I found out exactly who the Palladians are. And I said, wow. So yes, the Palladians can appear right now as shorter than you and everything. But the Palladians' children, which really totally got me, like, what are the Nephilim? And since what we really have coming back is they are Palladian, well, can you say Palladian Nephilim? So the Palladian Nephilim king is coming back with his two sons, Mr. J and Mr. J, and he's Mr. J1. And they, you're going into one rulership right into another. You're going right into their rulership with this new order. And the Palladian Nephilims are more sinister than the reptilians. The reptilians have to take a back seat. They're no longer in the driver's seat. The Palladian Nephilims, who are also some vampires, you already know what they want. It's not even a discussion. But they are now going to be going after the kids. And then if that works, if people don't stand up and fight for themselves, and that whole particular city don't do anything, then they're gonna put it on all the adults in that same city, the chip. So, and we all know that if that works, then eventually they're gonna push it all over the whole entire world, not just the United States. I'm trying to tell you that everybody that prophesied or said, like a message about it, said that the war was gonna pop off before that chip, the World War III, and there's a lot of folks that had dreams that said Civil War was gonna pop off at the same time World War III pop off. And I have told you many times that the chip is gonna happen around the same time as everything pops off. So they're starting the testing. They're testing one city, Liverpool, to see if they can get away with it. By the time they finish testing that whole city, which they're going to go crazy, it's going to get nuts. They'll start the Civil War there. World War III will happen as soon as Civil War starts, which means they won't get to push the chip yet. The Civil War finishes, till World War III finishes, because it's going to be a total mess. And they're not going to have to force it on anybody by that time. Because when World War III ends, y'all, man, ain't gonna be no food, no nothing. Ain't gonna be shit. And I know y'all talking about they're locking down the highway. Well, Trump took away all the federal funding to the federal highways, so they're not gonna have any army shutting anything down on those federal highways, cause ain't hardly nobody on them now. Yeah, and there's hardly any trucks on the road on them now too. And the trucks plan to go on strike on the 20-something. So you know motherfuckers gonna bug out. So the Bible does keep saying that chips gonna be put in after World War III. So I'm gonna stick with what the Bible says, and it all seems like it's gonna happen around the same time. Many people think it's gonna happen before, and you're partly right, but you're partly wrong. Yes, the testing is for one city, Liverpool. And once they get it all around Liverpool, then when they decide to go around, after they get the whole Liverpool, not just the kids, it would be another stage to doing it. Hell's gonna break loose, and they're not gonna get to give you the chip because World War III is gonna break out, and then the people that are gonna give you the chip is really not gonna be a government. The people that's gonna push and give you the chip, I guarantee, will be China. Mark my words. China's gonna force people to take the chip. It'll be by force. And there ain't gonna be no courts. There's no laws, no human rights to protect you against that when it comes to Chinese laws, because Chinese don't obey nobody's human rights laws. Ask Taiwan. And they go out to invade that too. Them in Russia. And they're gonna push Russia right. They're gonna pull Russia into a war that Russia really don't want to be in. But Russia knows they know they're gonna have to get into it. Alright, get back in a minute. Okay, and by the way, all praise to our Most High, who is a spirit, who will never take no type of body or form. And you cannot see the Most High at all. Alright, hold on, y'all.
About reptilian shape-shifting. Queen Elizabeth, George Bush, they have the ability to shape. Now that theory is mainly speculated upon in the white conspiracy theorist community. In the black community, you feel as though they can shapeshift. How do you weigh in on the whole shape-shifting, reptilian debate that's circulating, whether it exists or not?
Well, my 3 cents that I'll throw in is that there are shapeshifters. There have been shapeshifters on this planet since the time it was organized. And even when we go to the 5th dimension, what I did on with the sun thing, there'll still be shapeshifters.
The world needs a wake-up call. We're going to vote in.
Is that a lot of presidents have already been replaced.
That's right.
Yeah,
I don't think.
they're walking around, they look old, but they basically, some of the people are
I'll
just
just
second,
give you
third
something
copies.
I'll give you something to ponder. Get some old videos of George Bush, when he first came into office. Look at the person and listen to him speak. Look at his actions and listen to everything that's there. Now, it's a lot easier to put somebody out in front to act as or even Bush did. He had somebody else that was up there acting like he is and look like it. Even Hitler had he had his stand. In fact, his stand-in was the one that they found in the ground over in Germany. I mean, Hitler and Eva and the dog and 14 other people got aboard a plane and flew down to Barcelona, Spain. He was aware of that. And then ended up in Antarctica and Swaziland and then died a few years ago in Brazil.
That's what we heard.
I have all the documents from our own government.
Oh, you do, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a contact, one of our.
Stalin even, Stalin asked that, they tried to burn the body and he got the body back and so it was different years and the testicles were different and everything else, so they knew it wasn't different.
Is it a clone or not?
Oh, now you know going about cloning.
There's two Trumps. The one in the red tie is the real one. The one in the blue tie is not. The one you saw last night after the victory was the
Is it a clone or not?
Oh, now you know going about cloning. Cloning techniques, since 1938, they've been making cloning. There's 8 countries making clones. I have a doctor
Okay,
friend
but
that
I
all
wanna know
does
where
is
you-
take the clones.
Where do you get your information?
I get it from some of the people that are willing to come forth, and they talk to me because they hope I'll put the information out because they always got 2 people following them, maybe be killed. If I start talking about cloning too much, the people that get involved into that you disappear. So I didn't go into too many details, but there is information that's available.
Just I don't like. Look, he shouldn't do it. He's xenophobic. He's xenophobic. He was saying this 2 months later. Now he runs. He said, I should have closed it sooner. This guy, between the fracking and the ban and everything else, and he wants to delay the vaccine and impose a years-long lockdown. Nope, you gotta open up. Gotta open up. We know the disease. We're gonna have all of the different things, including the therapeutics, which I think might be a cure. We know the disease. We're going to have all of the different things, including the therapeutics, which I think might be a cure.
But it is a good way to start pulling the country together.
Today, there was news that the U.S. ended last week's election night watch party at the White House. As for President Trump, he's given no indication of conceding to Biden, and he has had no public appearances since Thursday. Instead, he announced a major decision on Twitter that Defense Secretary Mark Esper will be replaced by Christopher Miller, director of the National Counterterrorism Center. The president tweeted, quote, "Chris will do a great job. Mark Esper has been terminated. I would like to thank him for his service." During a Trump campaign press conference today, White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany and RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel discussed unsubstantiated claims of voter fraud. In Michigan, a court of appeals rejected a Trump attempt to challenge the vote count there as defective. Meanwhile, Republicans in Congress have largely declined to endorse the election results, at least publicly. At the Capitol, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell welcomed 4 new Republican senators, even as the larger fate of the chamber is still unknown. In the presidential race, he called for the process to continue.
We have the system in place to consider concerns, and President Trump is 100% within his rights to look into allegations of irregularities and weigh his legal options.
But fellow Republican Senator Susan Collins, fresh off her own victory last week in Maine, released a definitive statement openly congratulating President-elect Biden. Then there are some like Senator Lindsey Graham on Fox yesterday. He urged a continued fight.
If Republicans don't challenge and change the U.S. election system, there'll never be another Republican president elected again. President Trump should not concede.
And Emily Murphy, administrator of the General Services Administration and a Trump appointee, has yet to ascertain that Mr. Biden has won the presidential election, potentially delaying the presidential transition. Some world leaders were quick to congratulate Mr. Biden and Senator Harris, Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany.
I congratulate Joe Biden from the bottom of my heart on his election to the 46th President of the United States of America.
Some countries like Russia and China say they're waiting for all of the votes to be counted.
We noticed that Mr. Biden has declared election victory. We understand that the U.S. presidential election result will be determined following U.S. law and procedures.
And as the Trump campaign lawsuits play out, the counting of remaining ballots continues, with voter turnout already hitting a 50-year high. The Associated Press has yet to announce a winner in Alaska, North Carolina, and Georgia. Each state is so close, it's heading to a recount. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Lisa Desjardins.
At what point does a delay hamper a smooth transition or pose a risk to national security?
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. Right? We're ready. The world is watching what's taking place here. We're going to count all the votes. When the process is complete, there'll be electors selected. There's a process. The Constitution lays it out pretty clearly. The world should have every confidence that the transition necessary to make sure that the State Department is functional today, successful today, and successful with the president who's in office on January 20th, on mid-afternoon, will also be successful. I went through a transition on the front end. I've been on the other side of this. I'm very confident that we will do all the things that are necessary to make sure that the government, the United States government, will continue to perform its national security function as we go forward.
Do you believe there's widespread voter fraud with the reports that we're getting from Pennsylvania, from Michigan, showing vote totals at massive leads or significant leads, with 99% reporting, are going to be overturned, and that the United States failed to conduct a fraudulent free election?
Rich, I'm the Secretary of State. I'm getting calls from all across the world. These people are watching our elections. They understand that we have a legal process. They understand that this takes time, right? Because it's 37 plus days. An election back in 2000 conducted a successful transition, and I'm very confident that we will count, and we must count every legal vote. We must make sure that any vote that wasn't lawful are not be counted. That's really your vote. If it's done improperly, got to get that right. When we get it right, we'll get it right. We're in good shape.
Foreign leaders not be calling
We're good shape.
President-elect Biden?
Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks, and today I'm talking about this school in Liverpool to give barcode testing. Now, this is quite shocking, and if this doesn't raise any kind of concern in you, then you must be a full 24-karat gold brainwashed idiot. The head teacher of the Broad Green International School, a technology college in Liverpool, sent a very dodgy-looking letter to parents yesterday on Friday, informing them how privileged they should feel that the army will be in the school on Monday testing all the children in the school, marking them with a barcode and detaining those who test positive. The head also adds that parental permission won't be sought because under these very challenging and unprecedented circumstances that is not possible. Yep, I'm not exaggerating. Here's the letter to parents. It says, as part of this process, central government has identified Liverpool to pilot a testing scheme. You know, the whole 2,000 army being drafted into Liverpool, etc., etc. The letter goes on to say, I am pleased to inform you that we at Broad Green International School are in the privileged position of being one of the first schools within the city to have the testing brought to our site. Privileged position? Lucky you, eh? And one of the first, so they are planning on doing this to other schools. It then says, I have met this afternoon with representatives of the Army who will be in next week to test all our students and teachers. Each child will be identified with a unique barcode to ensure personal identification of test and subsequent. It then says, if positive results are received, the school will secure the individual concerned. Secure them? Where and how? You've got to remember, these are kids in a school. They are as young as 11 years old, 11 to 19 years of age at that school. It says here, they are going to secure them in a self-isolation system that is being set up. And it gets worse. It then says, under normal circumstances, parental permission is sought for testing of children. However, under these very challenging and unprecedented circumstances, that is not possible. Therefore, we would ask that if you wish to exclude your child from the test, please do so in writing to me first thing on Monday morning. But it goes on to say, it is important that you and your child cooperate 100% with the system. Feckin' hell, what is going on here? So they're going to automatically test all kids in the school, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. They claim they don't legally need your permission. Your kid's going to get a barcode once it's tested, and if they are tested positive, they're going to be detained. Well, we really are slipping into a very dark, dystopian world of misery, aren't we? If I had a kid at this school, I would be taking them out of the school pronto. This I find possibly the most sinister thing so far I've come across, reporting on all of this. I would imagine they are planning on rolling this out everywhere.
This might be the most shocking and important story of COVID so far. 2,000 members of our military have arrived in Liverpool to test every single person living and working in Liverpool. An extraordinary story this evening that even I'm struggling to believe is real, but it is. 2,000 members of the army arrive in Liverpool to test every single person as the new key strategy of the government's approach to curing the COVID, slowing down infection and getting back to normal life. They believe this is the way of doing it. Whether you like it or not, if you're in Liverpool, you're going to get tested to find out whether or not you have COVID-19. The obvious question one has to ask is, what happens if you're not compliant and you choose not to take the test? As far as I'm reading, that is not an option. They're using various approaches to find out whether or not you're positive and what's going on in the town. I guess this is their new way of ruling in and out every single possible option within Liverpool. They'll be using the University Hospital and LAMP testing, and if it's successful, they're going to roll this out across the entire country. So, this basically is the army now are being used to test people whether you want to be tested or not. You will not have a choice. Every single person will be tested in Liverpool, and if they roll this out across the UK, 66 million plus of us will also be tested within the next few weeks. This will begin next week in Liverpool. The only consolation is if you test positive and are forced to self-isolate for 2 weeks, you will get £500 from the government. Every day I read another story that leaves me speechless. 2,000 members of our military will enforce every single person being tested, traced and tracked in Liverpool as of later this week. Incredible times for the old kung flu.
So there you have it. Now in Liverpool and the UK, which is Britain, in about a month or so after that whole city gets forced to take the mark of the beast shot, you will see that they will start chaos erupting that city. Civil war will soon tend to start. They will go ahead and push it all over the UK, which is Britain, Great Britain, and you will see a civil war happen over there. World War III will totally stop as all this happens. All the countries are ready to do it. Trump has been in the way. The United States pretty much has been in the way. And the other countries thought that the people or citizens would bend to the will and just take the mark. All these other countries want this utopia of the Palladian Nephilim, which are obviously the Nephilim's children, the Palladian's children, the Palladian Nephilim King, Mr. J, 1, 2, and 3, their trinity. And of course now the Palladian Nephilim King has decided, after they had a battle and they got the best of the Draco race, to sit down and have a meeting with, it was a larger meeting actually, but I'm just trying to make it quick, have a meeting with Mr. E, King of the Draco Reptilians, and They have decided to work together to bring this utopia in. The Dracos have decided that they'll be underneath the Palladian Nephilim King, Mr. J. So now they are officially against us, all of them. They were against us on different sides, but now they combine aside. They have decided to make peace. Like I said, they both are evil. And all the utopia is this Mark of the Beast chip, which really comes directly, the one that's just they're gonna push now, the Palladian Nephilim King, Mr. J. And the war will start, Civil War will start, and the chip will start around the same time, all at the same time. And the chip will continue after the war. All praise to the Most High, y'all. Mr. Truth, me and you was right. Shalom.